Got a little bit of a KVJ court going on here. Somebody wants a judgment on whether or not to get a coach removed from the profession. It says in their email, my 13-year-old son's tennis coach was asking my son who he thought the cutest girls were at their tennis academy. And then he was telling my son who he thought they were to compare notes.
Oh, my God. How old is this coach again?
Didn't say how old the coach was, but he's dealing with a 13-year-old. I'd imagine that this is someone that's at least over the age of 21, so. If
the coach is an adult and this is the conversation, who do you think is cute? Here's who I think is cute.
It's a weird conversation to have, dog.
No, we're gonna be talking about that with the boss of the coaches.
I think that's ultimately what the question is. They said my son told us that it made him feel uncomfortable, so he came to us right away. My husband wants to pull our son from the program and just move on. He just doesn't want to make it a big deal. He's like, yeah, I don't want around this creeper, but, it's not my place to do this. But I've got a completely different outlook. This is coming from the wife. She said to me, a conversation like this is a fireable offense and should be a reason this man never works around children ever again. I want this man to lose his job and be publicly shamed. She included his name, which I will not.
I don't know if we should publicly shame him, and that's not really for the parents to decide. Look, you need to leave this tennis club. This is no longer your country club. This is no longer your place where you get tennis lessons. But on your way out, you tell the person responsible for hiring the coaches, hey, just wanted to let you know we're leaving, and here's why. It was real inappropriate what this coach said. I can't be around this energy. And now that you know, I certainly can't be around this energy because if this coach tries to retaliate on my child, I'll go to jail.
Yeah.
So we're leaving. Here's why. Bye. And forget about them. Don't dox them. Don't try to make this a big thing.
But you are going in and you're making sure that they are aware of it.
Yes.
And you're hoping that this coach loses his job.
I don't know what's going to happen to this coach, but that's not on me. What's on me is to try to make sure management knows this is how this person conducts themselves.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to keep it moving.
So she is outnumbered because she said both my husband and my son want to let it go. I cannot, though. I mean, what if this conversation turns to action? And I heard about it later, and then he's on the news because he had an improper relationship with a 13-year-old girl, and I knew that he would have these kind of conversations with the boys, and I decided not to say anything.
That is entirely possible. People that are pedophiles love to put themselves in jobs where they have access to kids.
Yeah.
There's one pedophile that visits my neighborhood occasionally, twice a year, because he comes and stays with his brother down the street from where I live. Mm-hmm. And I looked up this guy's file. And you know what he used to do? He used to volunteer his time at church youth groups to be around kids. And he gave them alcohol and tried to hook up with some of them. That's why he is listed on the predator list. And that's why I get an email alert every time he comes to visit his brother in my neighborhood. This guy made sure that he was around young people so that this was possible. I don't know this tennis coach, but if he's one of these creepers that has put himself around young people so that it's convenient for him to take it to the next level with one of them, it is your duty to make sure his bosses know he has said this to your young son.
Yeah. Now, some of the comments coming in, somebody said, the part where he asked a 13-year-old, who do you think is cute, is not as much of an issue as him then giving his own list where he's then rating who is cute of the 13-year-olds as coach.
This is what predators do. They start with something kind of benign that can be, laughed off. Not a big deal. And then they step it up. It's called grooming. Yeah. And we put a light on it when we see any infractions of the beginnings of grooming happening.
It is kind of wild with some of these organizations. In fact, one comment said, my kid had a teacher this year that was saying a lot worse than what you're talking about here in this KVJ court and actually had touched the kids and the school didn't fire him.
What? Oh, I'd be moving on, baby.
Some of those things are wild. And to me, that's when, now she's talking about she wants to dox this guy right now, which, like I said, I'm not giving into that. I'm not going to be a part of this.
I love a good doxing. Don't get me wrong. But you have to think ahead. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months. What are the ramifications of the doxing on your family? What is going to happen to your family when you dox this guy? Is he going to want revenge? Is he going to have friends that want revenge? Is there going to be something that can come back on you? And if you make yourself the poster child of who doxed him, now you put yourself and your family in his possible crosshairs. And I don't know if you want that heat. You got to think about what's going to happen weeks and months from now. Sure, the doxing feels amazing right now, but how is that possibly going to hurt your family?
Okay, so let me ask you this. Let's say that you have reported this coach, and then you talk to one of your girlfriends, and in 2 months you find out that the coach is still there and nothing happened and it wasn't brought up. Do you then elevate to the next level? Because it sounds like in this situation, you tell the school doesn't act on it. At some point, shouldn't doxing then be the next step that you take, where the first one is, I did the right thing and reported the authorities. When the authorities then are negligent, the only power I have left is to go a little bit more public and let people know what's going on here. Would you go to that level at that point?
I would still try to bring it up the chain of command first. So whoever you brought it to that did not act and still let a person that's touching kids be having access to kids. The right person didn't hear this information if this individual is still able to touch kids. And I would just try to keep that going up the flagpole until you get to the most powerful individual. But doxing should be a last resort because it could come back to hurt you and your family.
My question is, because I could see this, where you even report this to the authorities, the people that might be in charge of this coach who was talking to your son about who he thought the cute 13-year-old girls were. Ugh. They don't do anything. There's no punishment because maybe they talked to him and he's like, the kid's totally lying, and they believe the coach, and then nothing goes on. Then do you dox at that point, or do you take it to another level? Let's say you try to go to maybe the president of the club and they still are like, yeah, we talked to him, interviewed him. He's been a great guy. He's been here for 10 years, never one problem. We believe him over your son, and so nothing's going to happen. Do you just leave it at that and walk away and say, I did everything I could? Or do you still continue to push it and then maybe take it to social media or somewhere else?
I probably would leave it at that because I fear for my family's safety on the back end of a doxing. But I don't know. I mean, I would maybe talk to other parents and find out, has he ever said anything like this to any other of the students? And maybe those parents need to have conversations with their kid. And if he's talking to any other kids like that, there's strength in numbers. And you bring those parents with you to talk to the boss of the coaches and the boss of the boss of the coaches and say, look, enough of us have this complaint with this guy. What are you going to do about it? If you don't do anything, we are going to dox you and him and see what they do.
84% of people think that it is a fireable offense that a tennis coach was talking to a 13-year-old and telling him who he thought the cutest 13-year-old girls were at the camp.
Yeah.
But if you reported him and he didn't get fired, it's a split decision on whether or not you take it to another level and then dox him. It's 50-50 on that one.
Because look, now you're inserting yourself into a lot of stress and drama.
Yep.
You got to think about the back end of doxing.
And in heaven forbid, what if your kid lied?
Yeah.
What if it came out that your kid actually did lie? And you've defended him to the hill, and then it comes out, it's like, dude,
anything's possible.
We've gone public and have damaged this, and now he's suing us.
Well, that's why you want to corroborate, and you want to talk to other kids that are coached by this same individual. If he is talking this way to your kid, maybe he's been talking this way to other kids as well. And when you have a lot of people that have the same story that haven't coached each other, then that's when you know you have a problem with this coach and you need to go to the authorities. Maybe bypass the club and the people that run it all together if they won't listen to you. And take it to the authorities and say, look, something's wrong with this guy.
They'll probably need a little bit more proof than just your 13-year-old son saying that a coach said that these girls are cute when he's saying they're not, and there's never been a report about this coach. So you might be in a tough situation, and maybe you do have to let it go.